Greetings, good morning, and welcome to Mind the Moment, brought to you by Harvard Pilgrim Health Care. This, my friends, is our coffee house in the cloud, a place where we invite amazing mindfulness instructors to talk with us about what mindfulness means to them and what it can mean for you. We'll be practicing together and giving you a chance to let us know what's on your mind. I'm John Roberts, and today is Thursday, December 3rd, 2020, which was declared International Day of Persons with Disabilities by the UN General Assembly in 1992. Disability activism has adopted what I find to be an incredibly affecting slogan, namely, "Nothing about us without us," which was popularized by disability activist James Charlton in the 1990s. Nothing about us without us, or in its variant form, nothing about us without us is for us, usually refers to the idea that any policy affecting a particular group must not be developed without the full and direct participation of the members of that group. Beyond this, however, I find this slogan to be a crucial measure by which to manage my speech when in conversation with any person I happen to be encountering, asking myself, admittedly with varying degrees of success, are the words I'm saying making an assumption about the person to whom I'm speaking, an assumption which is being made without that person's participation? Now, with me today is someone who always inspires me to speak ill of no person, but to speak all the good I know of every person, the Director of Clinical Research at NYU Langone Health and a senior facilitator with the Turgar meditation community, Kell Julliard. Good morning to you, Kell.
Good morning, John. Lovely to be with you as always.
Thank you for, I know we're having some technical snafus there at the end, so thank you for sticking with it. It's wonderful to see you. So Kell, in the last two coffee house sessions we held, which were on Giving Tuesday and then last week on Thanksgiving, Tara Healy and I were discussing the strangeness of a holiday season taking place during a pandemic and all the things that have been lost, but also gained. So to put it another way, while we're missing certain traditions, other things are arising to provide nourishment in their place, sometimes quite unexpectedly. So I wanted to ask you, Kell, as we're getting started, what things have you found yourself missing this season, but has anything arisen to provide nourishment for you in their place?
You know, I think in terms of missing, it's the hugs. That's at the top of the list. And I love the live performing arts, dance, theater, classical music. So I do miss those. But in their place, you know, there's been an amazing letting go and more space in my life, which I have really valued. I realized that, you know, life just got to be kind of like a treadmill. It was fantastic, but it was like never ending. And now the pace is much slower. I have far more time in nature. I've watched the seasons unfold in a way that I really never have before. I've been making kombucha and my own body lotion, a lot of do-it-yourself projects that have actually been fantastic, minimizing my use of plastics. So, yeah.
Oh, that's really beautiful. Thank you for that, Kell. All right, so for the folks watching, let me run down your dance card for you this morning. In just a moment, Kell will be leading us in a 10-minute guided meditation. Then we'll move into some Q&A, which is where we'd especially like to have you involved. Now, so please take a moment to open up the chat box, which you can locate at the bottom of your screen. Use that chat box to send us any thoughts or questions you may have at any time. Kell, as a way to get our fingers in the typing mood, is there anything you'd like to ask our viewers to chime in about as we're getting started?
Well, I just shared what I have gained during this strange time, and I'm wondering what people who've joined the coffee house feel like they've gained during this time of the pandemic. Has there been any blessing or anything that's been new and good come into your life?
Oh, wonderful, great question. All right, so while folks are taking a moment to type, please know how grateful we are that you are lending us these moments of your day, and in doing so, helping us to build a vibrant community of practitioners. Whether you are new to this practice or a seasoned pro, you are very welcome here. Please keep in mind that only Kell and I will be able to see anything that you type, and if we don't have a chance to read your particular question or comment out loud, please know that we do read and appreciate them all. At the end of today's program, which will be right around 9 a.m., I will mention some other ways you can keep in touch with us as well. All right, so someone says they are loving not having to commute. Someone says they too are making not kombucha, but pickles and kimchi, some other fermented things. Someone says they're really enjoying saving money on gas. Yeah, just not having to get in the car every day has been something I've been really enjoying. Increased awareness, realizing I need less stuff, and the ability to focus more on relationships. Gaining a fuller sense of being able to pay attention, experiencing a winnowing down in life to what really matters, and an awareness of the so many things I have to be grateful for. Someone says the meditation practice has been a great gain. Someone else, regular mindfulness meditation practice. Great. Okay, so I think that's actually a wonderful way to sort of lead us in, Kell. But if you don't mind, I'd like to, as a way to lead us into your meditation this morning, I wanted to refer us to a quote from the mindfulness teacher Matthew Hepburn. Now, this came from a piece that Matthew Hepburn wrote for the Cambridge Insight Meditation Center newsletter. And he wrote, quote, "At this time, when our lives have been turned upside down, when good news feels hard to find, we need to balance two things with one another. We need to balance our responsibility to bear witness to the difficult with meditation practices that feed the mind, the heart, and the body, to allow our meditation to be like a glass of water on a sweltering day," end quote. Now, I like this image so much of mindfulness as a practice that has the power to refresh us, not merely something there to keep the wolves at bay, which is an attitude that I am guilty of myself affecting. So in your experience, Kell, how can we reap from our mindfulness practices its potential to refresh, to bring us hope and joy?
So the meditation we're going to be doing, I think, will be a direct answer to that. But like everything else, meditation practice can actually go up and down, right? Sometimes we're present and it's easy and, we're not lost in our thoughts and feelings. And I remember one meditation retreat where we were counting our breath and I literally could not get past one. I'm thinking, I've been meditating for years and I can't get past one. That was a really difficult moment, actually, during meditation practice. So I think it's important to recognize that our expectations and getting lost and, the thinking meditation practice is always going to be like a glass of refreshing water. That in itself can be a difficulty. But to me, the real answer to your question is that mindfulness brings with it the recognition of who we truly are in our deepest self. And this is part of why we practice, is to bring this recognition into our lives, that there's a basic goodness within us that can't be created, can't be destroyed. It's our birthright. And that whatever is going up and down, even if it's our meditation practice, that basic goodness is with us. And if we can recognize it, that provides the refreshing glass of water. It's the basic goodness itself, which is the refreshing glass of water. It's like a self-antidote. It's like the home that we're homesick for, that we're always hunting for. So that would be my thoughts about your question.
Those wonderful thoughts. Thank you. Better than I ever could have hoped for. Well, Kell, let's get into it if you don't mind. Let's practice.
Sure. So just check in with your body for a moment. Take a moment to make sure you feel comfortably grounded as you sit or stand or lie. That you feel supported by the chair, the cushion, the earth. And that you have a relaxed and yet dignified posture, like at ease and yet upright, a posture that cultivates alertness that supports being present, and just let go. You can do this with eyes open or eyes closed, whatever is more comfortable for you. But we're just going to take a moment to know that we're aware. Mindfulness, meditation, mindfulness itself is the knowing quality of the mind. You don't have to block or push away thoughts, feelings, sounds, occurrences in the outer world. Just watch them come and go like clouds in the sky. And if you find yourself getting lost in thoughts and feelings, and you recognize that, well, you're already back. There's nothing to do. Just celebrate being back in awareness. Now we're going to take a look at the basic goodness we have that manifests in every moment. This isn't hard. It's just a matter of recognizing what's here. We're going to look at 5 dimensions of our basic goodness. And the first one is awareness itself. You know what's happening right now. You don't have to create that. It's there for you in this moment. So just recognize, I'm aware right now. The second dimension of basic goodness that we're going to look at is our loving kindness, our wish for ourselves and others to be happy. And just notice, why are you here right now? It's because we believe that this time together will enhance our happiness. And so the very presence, your very presence right here, right now, in this coffee house, is an expression of your wish to be happy, of your loving kindness. The third quality is compassion, the wish for ourselves and others to be free from suffering. And again, why are we here? It's because we deeply believe and have experienced that mindfulness practice will lead us away from suffering into a deeper life of joy. So compassion is being expressed right now, right here, for all of us. Perhaps as you've been sitting, you've shifted your position a little bit just to get more comfortable. That is a direct expression of your compassion for yourself. It's just a matter of recognizing that it's with us in every moment, with every blink of our eye. The fourth dimension we're going to look at is wisdom. Wisdom can sound far off, but you turned on your computer and your phone. You found your way to this coffee house. You negotiated getting up, getting breakfast, maybe having family members interact with you. All of that took wisdom. Wisdom helps us recognize what is and respond to it wisely. The last dimension of basic goodness we're going to look at is capability, power. We tied our shoes, we got dressed, we turned on the computer, we navigated our way to the coffee house, as we will navigate our way through our day. That's a direct manifestation of our capability. That you are engaging in this contemplation and reflecting on it is a direct manifestation of your capability as well as your wisdom. Whether we call these qualities Buddha nature, the Christ within, the characteristics of awareness itself, the expression of our nervous system, they're there with us always. We just need to recognize it. So let your mind rest again in the open spaciousness of awareness, letting go of this contemplation. Just knowing you're alive and present here and now. Okay, that concludes our practice for this morning.
Well, thank you for that, Kel. Kel, I found that to be a very powerful practice. The description of these 5 pillars, which I imagined as holding up the surface of our awareness, and because of the powerfulness of the meditation, I felt like it could withstand a question which I hope will not come across as cynical, but which I think is important to think about. So you're talking about this basic goodness. My question is that goodness simply tarnished or challenged by the, let's say, the badness in the world? Or is there also a basic non-goodness within us, and we are having to negotiate those two things at all times? Oh, Kel, I think you're on mute.
Thank you.
Okay.
I would say no and no. It's never tarnished. It's always there. And it is always expressed in every moment. The problem is we often express it without skill. And it's in recognizing it that we begin to gain skill in the practice. So when I look back at my life, I've done some hurtful things. I've said and done some things that I'm not proud of. In those moments, I believed that what I was doing was going to make me safe and happy and prevent me from suffering. In fact, it created the opposite effect. But the fact is that those unskillful, hurtful things were still an expression of my basic goodness because I believed that they would help me be free from suffering. I was trying to protect myself or someone else or something that I thought was precious to me, like, getting even with a coworker because I thought my job was at risk, and discovering that when I act in that way, it creates suffering and doesn't bring me happiness. So just by recognizing that that's the motivation that's not working, that propels me to seek to be more skilled in my life and to do things which create the happiness and freedom from suffering of myself and others, because we're all in this together. My happiness is dependent on the happiness of everybody else. So when we begin to recognize that, then we begin an open-hearted engagement with other people in life. So that's why I think basic goodness can't be tarnished, and it is always expressing, even when it doesn't look like it.
That's a beautiful perspective, and I'm realizing as you were talking that at those moments when I feel like maybe I am relying on some basic badness to put it poorly, it's actually just a narrow view. It's because I've narrowed my view too much to just what is important to me in that moment or to my idea of my community. And when I expand that, then suddenly it's maybe starts to look more like an essential goodness that is supportive of all people.
That's right. Yes, that's right.
So, folks, I want to make sure everyone feels very encouraged to ask Kell any questions you might have about his practice this morning or anything else that might be coming to your mind. While folks type, Kell, I did, if you don't mind, I'd like to return us to this idea of mindfulness practice as possessing the potential to provide energy and hopefulness. So, as I was saying, I feel like I do understand this, and there's a lot of when I'm practicing, I do feel that hopefulness, and yet there are the uncertainties of the world that continue to batter us. I'm just wondering if you can maybe speak a little bit more about when it seems like we take one step forward with our mindfulness practice, but then we walk out the front door and somehow the world is trying to push us 2 steps backward. How do we keep our spirits up? How do we keep focused on that things are hopefully moving in the right direction?
Well, so the world is always going to be up and down. Our emotions are always going to be up and down. So if we think that mindfulness practice is going to change that, then we're in for a lot. That's going to create suffering for ourselves, that expectation. So what it does is it gives us a spaciousness inside to respond as wisely as we can in the moment to those ups and downs, and also to recognize that there's we're all going to die. It's like, that's a fact. That is the ultimate quote down in life, and we can't prevent it. It's a matter of moving through that with grace and wisdom and recognizing, of course, I'm speaking here from a perspective that I don't believe life ends with death. Some of our listeners may believe that. So it's a matter of, if you recognize that basic goodness which can't be created and destroyed, then there's a joy and a peace that can't be taken away from you by whatever horrible things happen. And I would recommend to anyone to look at a seminal work about this, Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, because that's about his experience in a concentration camp, and it really can't get much worse than that. And he maintained his integrity and his ability to respond, not to react, but to respond through that experience. And he gives principles how to do that. So that's a book I'd recommend for this question. But I'm seeing in the chat box also, there's a question, is there a difference between loving kindness and compassion? They're really two sides of the same coin, but traditionally loving kindness is defined as the wish to be happy. What is it that makes you happy? And and compassion is the wish to be free from suffering. So I think we can all relate to that in our personal lives, that what makes us happy is what's different from what keeps us free from suffering. So fulfillment, success, loving relationships, on the happiness side, on the freedom from suffering side, absence of disease, our friends and family don't get hurt, stay well. So hopefully that's a good answer to that question. You're muted, John.
Sorry about that. I was going to say, Kell, I think it's a great answer. I think we're both having microphone problems today. And, as usual, Kell, I have so much more I would love to ask you, but as we approach 9, I feel like I just need to move us along, unfortunately, towards the close. Let folks know that we are back on Tuesday, December 8th, when our guest will be Jackie Johnson. And in fact, we are back with you every Tuesday and Thursday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. Now, if you have any questions for us, which we didn't get to here, you can email them to askmtm@harvardpilgrim.org, or you can even leave me a voicemail at 617-509-7047. If you are looking for fast and easy ways to add the links to these sessions to your iCal or Outlook calendar, you can go to Harvard Pilgrim at harvardpilgrim.org/livingwellatHome. While you're there, check out the many other free live and virtual wellness sessions which Harvard Pilgrim offers to the public. Those include yoga classes, Zumba classes, and a veritable fountainhead of health and wellness webinars. All of us face moments of pain in our lives. How we deal with pain can make a huge difference in the quality of our lives. I'd love for you to check out the free resources around mindfulness and pain management, which we're offering in English and Spanish through a partnership with our friends at Mindful Magazine. Check us out on Facebook to see what we're doing and how we're doing it. That's facebook.com/mindthemoment. You can find earworms you will not be ashamed of in the form of free guided meditation MP3s from many of our guest instructors on our SoundCloud page, soundcloud.com/mindthemoment. And you can rewatch this session, older sessions, introductory sessions, and interviews which we conducted with leading mindfulness researchers on our YouTube page, youtube.com/mindthemoment. All right. So if I may offer a closing word from, in honor of International Day of Persons with Disabilities, courtesy of Robert M. Hensel, Hensel is a writer who uses a wheelchair, and in 2003 he actually became a Guinness World Records holder for performing a non-stop wheelie in his wheelchair for a distance of 6 miles. He writes, "I have learned the limitations open doors that have been closed, showing other ways to meet our needs." So as we go forth this week, I hope that we may all turn over every limitation in our path like rocks, which we are overturning, to see what might be hiding underneath. Kell, a closing question for you, if you will allow it. If you had a theme song for your mindfulness practice this week, what would it be?
Well, I heard a COVID version of Billy Joel's "The Longest Time." And that and the original, I think this feels in some ways like the longest time. So that would be my theme song for this week.
Well, Kell, I hope it won't be too long before we are able to speak with one another again. By the way, I think my theme song is going to be Sweet Thing by Van Morrison from Astro Weeks, which was an album inspired by his time in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Kell, thank you for taking the time this morning. It's wonderful to see you.
It's such a pleasure to be with you and everyone, John.
Thank you. Thank you for joining, everyone.
Thank you.
We hope to see you again Tuesday, maybe. Until then, please do have a momentous day.